It's almost Halloween, just a few days after posting this video that I'm doing. And, well, what can I say? I am, first off, I want to say that yes, I do have a Halloween special marathon that I did for this year. But, of course, there's gonna be something very special. But I'll leave it like that. I will post it on Halloween Day, and you'll see what kind of marathon I did. But in the meantime, I decided to start up my usual annual tradition of Halloween of not just watching horror movies, but also get my 1 month subscription to one of my favorite streaming channels, which is none other than Shudder. I'm getting a lot of respect from Shudder ever since the Creepshow TV series. Well, TV is technically kind of like or not exactly the proper name because it's more like streaming. But either way, I just love creep shows. I did saw some of the horror movies that I missed out. And lo and behold, there were two particular movies that that many people telling me that it is a spectacle. You have to watch it. One of them is VHS 99, and which this is not exactly the subject that I'm going to do this time, maybe. But the one that I'm going to talk about in this video is none other about, what was it again? Oh yeah, Deadstream. So instead of going to the movie theaters in which, unfortunately, there's a movie that I wanted to watch, but unfortunately, I felt like it's gonna be one of those movies that nothing. I am not gonna have nothing to say, and the movie that I'm talking about is Pray to the Devil, or Pray to the Devil, I'll say. And a long story short, I saw the trailers. The trailer was like any exorcist movies, which nowadays exorcism movies are not exactly as interesting like a zombie movie or something like that. But so instead, I got my subscription in Shudder and decided to watch Deadstream. Many people are beginning to talk about it. Now it's my turn, and I'm just talking about it right after I finish it watching. And lo and behold, I can see why people are technically talking about it, because this movie is really entertaining. That was actually my Halloween treat of this year and I can see why I'm getting some kind of respect to Shudder. Because whatever is kind of like a bad movie or a good movie, you're going to get something, how can I say, entertaining. And Deadstream is one of those in which it kind of took advantage of some of the modernities of this current age and decided to make a found footage movie out of it. And if you know me, and I say that many times, that I am a sucker for found footage. Found footage movies, it attracts me. I know that it's a kind of like a repeated process, but still the way you do it, it interests me. So in this case, they take advantage of the culture of live streaming and along with it. Although it's not exactly the first time that they do it. I think Shudder had another movie that I don't remember the name out of it, but I mostly remember that movie it was filmed during COVID. So I'm sorry, I don't remember what the name of it. But still, you can tell that this is kind of like a new evolution of found footage films, and in this case, they use kind of like streaming services, or they use kind of like the advantage of the YouTube culture that even is fixed sometimes nowadays. So in this case, I'm gonna jump right in with the plot. It's about this guy named Sean. He's played by Joseph Winter. That's the name of the actor, by the way. this guy Sean is kind of like one of those YouTube celebrities that likes to do stunts. Sometimes kind of like out of place. Like for example, he goes dog sledding in his underwear in cold winter, or he just dress up like baby Moses and goes around the almost like in the river or something like that. So basically, he just doing it out of attention. But unfortunately, he goes too far. He's suspended from YouTube for like 6 months, and he decides to make a big comeback by doing a live stream where he just enters an abandoned haunted house, and he decides to infiltrate there, stay there for the night, because he says that he's afraid of ghosts. Little that he knows is that this is probably going to be the biggest mistake of his life. And that's technically the synopsis in a nutshell about this movie. You only get kind of... let's talk about the main character, because he's the kind of like the... He's one of the only characters that appears there. The actor Joseph Winter playing our protagonist, he actually is pretty good playing kind of like this celebrity. Although for some reason his voice, the way he talks or something like that, it kind of reminded me of Gerard from the Beer Brothers. But well, that's mostly me in how I compare it, the tone of his voice. But he's mostly kind of like a satire of the Paul Logan, or those YouTubers that they just want attention and they just do kind of like dumb shit, for attention. Thank goodness that although you only get kind of like vague information about what he did. He kind of reveals that he picked up a fight with a homeless guy or something like that. And that's why he got suspended. Thank goodness that he didn't. How can I say, make fun of a corpse like this Logan Paul did. That was. I think that's kind of like the inspiration of this character, and of course, like always, he's. The movie goes kind of like in the found footage narrative, You have to set up, the guy wants to do something, he enters a place where he doesn't belong, and he just rummages around it, and then you hear he begins to hear noises and all these things, and then shits fly when the ghost appears. But honestly, I will say this also, is that while the character he's portraying one of those kind of like these asshole-ish guys that wants attention. He just kind of like trying to be hip, but sometimes he fights with the audience or something like that. He is kind of sympathetic because despite his asshole personality, he's still human. They managed to humanize this character enough for kind of actually giving a shit of this character. You kind of care. It's just like, you care at least for kind of like this, just a fool who just got into a situation in which he didn't ask for. And the movie is relentless to this guy. It's totally relentless. The guy gets injured, he gets beaten up, and there are a few times in which kind of like the ghost of the day apparently likes to sticking up its finger on his nose, and it's gross, I would say. But the beating he gets, he was like, poor guy. Even Ash Williams from The Evil Dead doesn't get that amount of torture. Well, actually, he did. That's pretty much I have to say. And, of course, let me talk to you a little bit about the ghost. I'm going to try my best to not spoil too much, but I will say that there is a background, and it's kind of like a simple setup of a background in which the main ghost is this entity. It's the ghost of this woman called Mildred, who is a poet and had a daughter, but unfortunately she apparently she went insane, and because, well, nobody is reading her poems or something like that. That's what I get. I don't exactly remember exactly the details. And later, and of course, apparently she committed suicide, and then people that went into the house, apparently they get how can I say it? They get cursed by this entity, and 11 people ended up getting killed to the point that apparently those series of events kind of stopped because nobody else went to live it by the house, and there is kind of like an element that kind of ward off the evil from this house. I'm not gonna get too much into detail, but let's say that thing is what makes things explode for our poor main character. And now I'm gonna talk to you about the cinematography. Like I said, I take advantage of the live stream culture by having the guy has his own camcorder, and I think that it's also genius that you see him play out with the tools that he has. He has a lot of cameras, and he puts them on key places, and you see him setting them up. And then he just go with the tablet saying that, okay, we see this and see this. And another thing that I really like is that since he is live streaming the whole thing, a lot of people are watching him. And I'm glad that there is a neutrality on the audience. You see kind of like the chats sometimes are their Sean character. Oh, I forgot to mention that I really like his life, the title of his show. The title of the show, get this. The name is called Sean, and his show is called, Ambulance Go. Kind of get the drum roll. You know what? I'll say it regardless. The name of the show is Wrath of Sean. That is a cool title, I'm gonna say. And you know what? This is kind of like a show that I could be watching. Even I will see a live stream about this. Because it kind of reminds me when Phaelus, went going into abandoned places and just see all the garbage that he sees. Okay, but I'm getting distracted. What I was talking about is the audience. Is that cinematographically they put the chat of the audience. And I was saying that I really like the neutrality of the audience. The audience, because that is typical to see that the audience are kind of assholes sometimes. They're going to say like, yeah, you're going to die, you're going to, poor dude, this is fake or something like that. And it does something like that. But at the same time, there are people who actually care for him. And I actually like that because this makes the portray that the audience is not exactly kind of like asshole-ish and they just want him to die. Some of the audience actually are concerned for him and they actually believe him, and to the point that sometimes they just help him out by showing videos to tell him the clues or what he has done or something like that. Even if Sean sometimes he just kind of spit in their face sometimes, but when he becomes legit scared, he just kind of say that I gotta thank you and all these things. So it's basically basically Sean is not only the one who is into this whole mess. The audience inside the live stream is technically trying to accompany him because the ones who believe him, they don't want him to to die even if the crazy things are happening. So that aspect I like. And like I already said, the guy sometimes adds up the cameras, and then he sets up the name of the camera, and I like this thing. There is kind of like also a moment in which in which a girl appears. I'm not gonna exactly describe that it is that this girl kind of appears and she kind of tries to steal the thunder. It's not something that happen a lot, but it is what it is. But let's say that it kind of puts clear on the scares. And speaking of scares, I like that the movie is all about mood and doesn't rely on kind of like big heavy jump scares. Although I might kind of like overcompensate in this movie, saying that this is kind of like really good, really fun, and all these things. I gotta say that there are some monster makeup that is a little bit kind of like a little bit desirable on the side that, well, thankfully it's not exactly kind of like CGI or something like that. That could if there was kind of like big CGI monsters, I will complain about it. There's a few, but in the things that matter, you can see some how could I say some real makeup, I'll say, but some of the makeup kind of makes them a little bit cartoonish or a little bit fake. At least this is in my opinion. Although there are some moments that it really can get you a little bit on the creep factor. Honestly, I think that the biggest freak out I got is when the guy how do I explain it? Let's say that there is a shot in which the main villain, the ghost, kind of appears out of nowhere, and it gets ahead. That's the best way I can describe it without sounding kind of a little bit. Okay, maybe I'm sounding a little bit dirty when they say that the head gets ahead. Oh my god, I'm gonna slap myself a little bit slowly for being punished. Okay, here's another one because I did it again. Ah man, so but honestly, yeah, it kind of I got invested into the movie and not the practical effects. That's the word I was looking for. Practical effects. They did that. And also, I'm gonna give it credit that there is, for usually found footage movies, they always get shaky camera. This one does have, but it's not enough to, how can I say, to make you feel lost. But it's mostly because you're following one character, and honest, and for the majority, the ambience is good. You follow him. You feel, honestly, again, I feel bad for you get to feel bad for this guy. He's just a guy who made a fool of himself. That's all I have to say. But honestly, I don't have anything much to say without spoiling too much. So honestly, I do want to say that Deadstream it's a very watchable fan footage movie from the time. I like its sense of humor. I like the scares that it got. It plays the cards correctly, I'll say. So so if you want to watch it, you can watch it right now on Shudder. It's not a movie theaters, just in case. But if you want to get a good experience with this movie, please do it at night. Turn off the lights, and then you put it on the TV or on your computer, and just watch it in the dark. Because honestly, found footage movies works better when you are in the dark for some reason. And so honestly, yeah, Deadstream, check it out if you have Shudder.